Well, I've just finished watching what I think was one of the greatest games of Super Rugby that I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, go and watch the New South Wales Waratahs playing against the Crusaders. And boy, what a game it was. 9 tries in the match, and the lead changed 13 times throughout the game. I don't know if I've ever watched a rugby game that the lead has changed 13 times throughout the game. Now, lots to unpack in this game, of course, with 9 tries being scored. It was a very open, entertaining game, and the good news is there was no violence in this game, as we've seen in a couple of Super Rugby games over the last couple of weeks, so that was good to see as well. So a really good game in Sydney, this one, and I'm going to unpack it for you right here on Inside Rugby. G'day everyone, welcome to Inside Rugby. My name is Mark. I'm a Kiwi rugby fan living here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico. And boy, we've got some super exciting rugby happening this weekend across the world, haven't we? We've got the Super Rugby competition carrying on down under in New Zealand, Australia and Fiji. And we also have the European Champions Cup quarter-final games coming to us across Europe this weekend. So I'm going to be reviewing a lot of those games. But in this video, I'm going to be chatting about that game between the Crusaders and the Waratahs, and what a game it was in Sydney. It was just absolutely fantastic right from the very first minute, where Sevu Reece went over and scored a fantastic try for the Crusaders. They got off to a brilliant start in the game, and by scoring a try that early on, it's not going to win you the game, but it's certainly going to put you in a good position to get a lot of points on the board. And Sevu Reece is one of those players that if he gets his hands on the ball early, scoring a try obviously gives him a lot of self-belief, and he usually goes on to have a very, very good game, and that's what we saw from Sevu Reece throughout this game. That was actually the first of 2 tries that he would score in this particular game, and he would be very, very busy throughout the game, very, very dangerous. One of the things that I really, really like about Sevu Reece and the way he plays for the Crusaders and for the All Blacks is that he's always hungry, looking for the ball, and there's a lot of good wingers around the world that do that. But what we saw throughout this game, and it happened just after the Crusaders scored that opening try in the game, we saw the Waratahs come straight back and get some points on them as well. And this happened throughout the game. So one team would score, and then the other team would come back and counteract that with a good score of their own, whether it be a try, a penalty kick, or as we saw later on in the game, a very decisive drop goal. But it was a seesawing match throughout the first half. We went to half-time at 23 points to 20 in favour of the Waratahs. There was nothing in this game. I thought that both teams looked very dangerous when they got the ball in open play. The forwards were really cancelling each other out. Blackadder was back in there for the Crusaders, having his first game of the year, which was good to see him getting a run. He got about 60 minutes or so in this game. And he was then replaced by Leo Willie, and I'll talk a little bit about him in this video as well. So it was a very seesawing affair in the first half. As I said, there was tries by both teams, but there was also penalty kick opportunities. When each team went down into the other's half, they got the opportunity to take points. They took those opportunities, and as a result of that, we saw a very high kicking percentage at penalty kicks throughout this game from both sides. I was watching in particular the 2 10s in this game to start off with, and Hohepa for the Crusaders, and he's one of those players that I haven't got a lot of confidence in. He does some really good things, but then he'll do a couple of things that make you think he's got a few weaknesses to his game, and one of those is kicking in general play. And we saw that throughout the first half. He put up a couple of kicks that were very shallow in general play, gave New South Wales Waratahs the ball back quite easily, and gave them an opportunity to go on the attack. And it was after a few phases of those plays that the Waratahs would actually score some more points. So Hohepa needs to clean up that part of his game, I think, in terms of his kicks and general play. We also saw one of the kicks that he did when they were on, when the Crusaders were hard on their defensive line. He had an opportunity to clear the ball. He put it on his left foot, which is not his favoured kicking foot, and he made a bit of a meal of it, only getting about 5 or 6 meters up the field. So that's something that I think Rob Penny, the Crusaders coach, will be having a look at. When you're playing at this level, it's minuscule things that really make a difference in the game. It was interesting listening to the commentary of this game. I was listening to the Aussie commentators, and Tim Horan was one of them, the inside centre for the Wallabies for many years, a great player in himself. He was making some comments along the lines that this looked like a Crusaders team of old. Well, I wouldn't go that far to saying that, because we all know how good that Crusaders team was under Scott Razor Robertson, but this team I don't think is as clinical as what the Crusaders of old were, and they had a good win last weekend, of course, and that would have given them a lot of self-belief coming into this game. We saw that in the first half. We saw the Crusaders wanting to run the ball wide. Every opportunity they got, they were flinging the ball around. It was a bit like a basketball game there for a while, and they were having a lot of self-belief from that game from last weekend. So no surprise on there, but what I did see from the Waratahs is they were giving as much back as they were getting from the Crusaders. And it was really just who could hold on to the ball longest, because each team looked like they were able to score points when they did get the ball. So at halftime, I think both coaches probably would have said to their teams, look, we need to clean up our possession, holding on to the ball a little bit more, putting some bit more structured into the game. There was only 2 scrums in the first half, so we didn't see a lot from set piece from the forwards, and their lineouts were pretty even as well when it came to getting that line-out ball. So by the time we got to halftime, it was definitely anybody's game, and I thought it was going to be an exceptionally interesting second half, which it turned out to be. Now, of course, one of the things that Joe Schmidt will be looking for this year in the Australian Wallabies team will be a good number 10. They've got some dilemmas around that position in particular. I thought Edmed, who started off as number 10 for the Waratahs today, played very well in the first half. He was solid without being absolutely brilliant. He was able to get the ball and distribute it wide, and put a couple of players through the gap as well. His kicking was pretty much on song as far as the penalty kicks were concerned and the conversions, and he was also good at kicking in general play. So yeah, first time I've seen Edmed play this year, and I liked what I saw. Pretty steady guy, but the guy that replaced him, who came on, played very, very well as well. Matt Jorgensen, of course, has been around a long time, played for the Wallabies and been an instrumental member of this Waratahs team. He played very well in the first half. He looked dangerous when he got the ball, but he was also really good in defence. And when the Crusaders did get through, it was Jorgensen, usually at the back in number 15, that was there on the line trying to save the Waratahs, and he was playing exceptionally well. Petchy was another one in the New South Wales backline that was playing well. He got the ball into open play on a number of occasions, looked really, really dangerous, and again, he's another player I feel that can break through any defensive line on any given day. He played really, really well. In fact, talking about Jorgensen, one of the best plays I've ever seen in a game of a player from a defensive point of view happened early on in the second half. In fact, I think it was in the first minute of the second half. The Waratahs were attacking the Crusaders around about the halfway line, and Jorgensen got the ball, got through a gap, and he was chased by Sevu Reece, and Sevu Reece not only tackled him, he got back up on his feet and he got the ball out and he distributed it back to his players to get them out of trouble, and it all happened very seamlessly and very quickly. But Sevu Reece, absolutely brilliant turnover, also try-saving tackle. There was no doubt about it. Jorgensen would have got to the line, but Sevu Reece, not only was he scoring tries in this game, but he was coming up with plays like that which were absolutely outstanding. Now, early in the second half, the Crusaders had got back into the lead again, 25-23, after a Hohepa penalty opportunity, and then they had a chance to break this game wide open. It was a fantastic play by Dallas McLeod, the inside centre for the Crusaders. He did a little bit of a chip kick over the top. The ball was regathered past to Amur, but unfortunately, when the ball came from McNichol, who had gathered the ball to pass it to Amur, there was a forward pass, and Amur had gone in under the post. It would have been a fantastic try. It would have put out Crusaders to over a 10-point lead at that stage of the game, and I think that would have been absolutely critical. So I mentioned that these games are games of inches, aren't they? There's tiny decisions that are made and things that happen in the spur of the moment. It was a beautiful play by the Crusaders. They got the New South Wales Waratahs defence napping there with a chip over the top. It was just that execution. Unfortunately, it looked like McNichol had actually stumbled when he got to the ball, and that pass to Amur went forward, and there was no doubt about it that it wasn't a try. But a crucial stage of the game, and one that the Crusaders would have been kicking themselves for, absolutely. So I think this was one of the most frenetic last 10 minutes of any rugby game I've seen for a while. And around the 71st minute mark, Julian Heaven, great name that guy's got, went over for a great try for the Waratahs. They'd been building up close to the Crusaders line, pick and go, and then Heaven went over and scored a very good try that put the Waratahs back into the lead with about 10 minutes to go. Harrison had come on for the Waratahs, replacing number 10, Edmed, and had done some really good things since he had come on the field. Now, this guy's got a bit of a history. He was out for a couple of years with a really bad injury, and he's just coming back in, and he's a really good number 10. You want to keep your eye on him. He might end up in a Wallaby jersey this year if Joe Schmidt sees how he's playing, particularly after what he did at the end of this game. We got to about the 78th minute mark of the game, and there was a fantastic passage of play when McLeod, the inside centre for the Crusaders, broke through. Sevu Reece was also involved in this move. They almost got down to the try line. The ball came out from Sevu Reece, and the referee deemed the ball to go backwards. Jorgensen had collected the ball right on the goal line. He went back over the goal line, put the ball down, and therefore it was a 5-metre scrum to the Crusaders. So in the dying seconds of normal time in this game, the Crusaders had an opportunity, and it was that man that I had spoken about, Leo Willie, who had come on. Haven't seen him play before as well. He came on and scored a fantastic try off the back of that scrum, went over basically untouched by the Waratahs, and it was an opportunity for the Crusaders to win this game. Now, something really important happened here. That was basically the game won and lost for the Crusaders. So from that try, the conversion attempt by Rihana, who'd come on for Hohepa, he took the ball back. He asked the referee how long he had on the shot clock, and the referee confirmed to him that if he wound the shot clock down to 0, then the New South Wales Waratahs would not have an opportunity to restart the game, and the Crusaders would have won the game. This is when Rihana probably made the biggest mistake of his rugby career so far. So with a few seconds left on the shot clock, he didn't wait for it to go down. He actually kicked the conversion attempt before the shot clock had finished, and as a result of that, despite the conversion going over and the Crusaders going out to 40 points to 37, it gave the Waratahs an opportunity to restart the game. So all he had to do was another 2 seconds, and the game would have been over, and it would have been a win for the Crusaders. However, that didn't happen, and the Waratahs took their opportunity. From the kickoff, it was amazing what happened, because they only sent one guy up to try and contest the short kickoff, and the Waratahs won that ball back. So another Crusaders, I guess, error you would have called it. They had an opportunity. They had 4 guys around the ball, but it was the Waratahs player that tapped it back, and it came back on the Waratahs side. Then we saw a really dramatic finish to the normal time. They went on the attack, and they ended up scoring a penalty kick from Harrison, and that gave us 40 points all after normal time. So the golden point rule came into play, which means we play until the next team scores. Now, another huge play in this game from the Crusaders that they didn't execute properly, and it was before the end of normal time when McNichol, the winger for the Crusaders, did a deliberate knock on in play when he was trying to intercept the ball there. He didn't have 2 hands anywhere near it, and he was sent from the field. So the Crusaders were down to 14 men, which in the end would end up being very crucial indeed. Then we started off into golden point time, and the Waratahs had the numerical advantage of 15 men against 14. They did a very smart play going down into the Crusaders 22, picking and rolling, getting closer and closer to the line. And that man, Harrison, that I'd spoke about, who came on, was going to be the hero of this game, because after 4 or 5 phases of getting closer and closer to the Crusaders line, the ball was passed out to Harrison. He did the drop goal attempt from 22 metres out, right in front of the post, and he absolutely nailed it. So we had the Waratahs winning this cliffhanging, thrilling game by 43 points to 40. It was, as I said, one of the most entertaining games of Super Rugby we've seen in ages, And with all those changes of lead throughout the game, it was a really, really good game to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this game. So it was a shame that one team had to lose this game, because I thought both teams played pretty much as good as each other throughout the game. But you've got to hand it to the Waratahs. They were clinical when it counted, and they didn't make those little silly mistakes like Rihanna did with the conversion attempt in the shot clock. They didn't miss any kicks at goal today, 9 from 9 from the tee, so an outstanding kicking performance from the Waratahs. So in the end, I think they did deserve it, because they just were clinically better than the Crusaders. They didn't get a player sent from the field in the last few minutes, which was absolutely critical for the Crusaders, and the Crusaders gave a lot of penalties away in that second half, and that's something Rob Penny and his coaching crew will have to have a look at, because it did cost the Crusaders in the end in this particular game. But I think it was the bench that undid the Crusaders. I don't think Rihanna was as good as Hohepa when he came on, and also Drummond at halfback didn't play as well as Hotham did as well for the Crusaders. So those changes that were made by Rob Penny, who was probably hoping for a little bit of an injection into the play by those reserves, I don't think it worked in this particular game for the Crusaders. But hey, you let me know if you watched the game what you thought. Did you think the Crusaders fell away a little bit in terms of how clinical they were when those reserve changes were made? I'd be interested to hear your views in the comments. So for the Waratahs, there were some standout players. Harrison, of course, who won them the game, played well when he came on, and that's someone to keep your eye on as far as a potential Wallaby jersey. I think Swinton went well as well, scored the first try for the Waratahs. Petch played really well as well. He's very dangerous in the outside centre positions, and Jorgensen had a really good game at fullback for the Waratahs. I also thought Edmed played well in the first half in the number 10 jersey, and we saw some other big plays, particularly from Julian Heaven, who scored that try in the forwards. I think the Waratahs have got a good forward pack. Look, they've been unlucky in some of these games so far in the Super Rugby series. They've lost them by close games. This one they got across the line, and this might make all the difference to the Waratahs throughout this campaign by giving them this confidence and this self-belief. They scored some very good tries today. They were good in defence when they had to be, and they were clinical when it came to the end of the game. Crusaders will be horribly disappointed with this loss. They had it within their grasp, but it'll teach them another lesson how well you have to play in the Super Rugby competition this year, and I'm sure they'll bounce back better in their next game. Okay, well that's for my review of this particular game. If you've got the opportunity, go and check it out online. It's a good one to watch for sure. A great entertaining game of rugby union, that's for sure. If you like my content, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, give this video a bit of a thumbs up as well. Helps me with all this YouTube algorithm stuff. And I'm going to be back again over the weekend with my reviews of the games from the European Champions Cup. Some fantastic games coming up tomorrow and on Sunday as well. So until then, it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun here in Mexico. And I'll see you all again very soon in the next video. Bye for now.